Okay, so here we are. Thanks again. One more time. Thank you, all half of you who went ahead and responded to our um, feedback. It really means a lot, and I'm able to really, learn from it and adjust and make adjustments and make it as best as I can for all of us. So let's dive in without further ado. So overall class. So what's helping me learn? As you remember, this was a what we like, what we wish, and what we wonder. So the first part is what we like. There were a lot of good feedback on this, and I appreciate that. This is I like the breakdown of each project, and I've learned much about the design process and through the implementation of mural boards. I love hearing that because that's my hope is the mural board is really that, we're not in class in a room together, and it's really helpful. Even if when we are in a room together, I still use mural boards because I like that we can all see each other's process. We learn from each other's process. We also learn about the process of design. This is all of these, all of your introductory design courses. Well, actually, all of your design courses, all the way through the program, you're graded on not just the end project, but the entire process. So as you notice, your grades are all, as you've seen through the rubric, are graded through the process because this is about a process. Design isn't just, adding numbers together and getting the final result. It's a process, and understanding and learning that process is key to success in graphic design. So great hearing that. You're appreciating that. Design sprints, I'm glad you're really enjoying those. In-class feedback, really important, and I will continue doing that. Sharing our sketches and getting feedback on them, absolutely. How straightforward you've made the course, how you allow for creative freedom. In-class work time, Illustrator, and making sure everyone's following along and understanding what we're learning. Great. Hold on, my Zoom thing is in the way. There we go. Silent critiques. You're right, it doesn't take up too much time. I like them for that reason as well. I'm glad you're liking to hear about new designers each week. We have a new one this week we'll talk about shortly. The variety of projects, the in-depth we go into Illustrator, the pace of the course, which I agree, it can be challenging at times. And I've also heard a lot of you talk about time management and having better time management skills. And so we'll try to talk a little bit more about that as we go through as well. Learning different art styles, recording the classes. I'm actually recording this as well for you. So if you guys want to look back at this, you're welcome to. What we wish are things that we would like to see change. More small group feedback is what I'm hearing. Reduce the number of sketching requirements in our assignments. Well, that's something that is part of process. So that's something we won't be changing because it is part of like learning and developing that muscle. One of the things when we're in design is some things might feel a little uncomfortable or painful at first. The idea is the more we do it, the more comfortable we get at it and the stronger we get at it. So that's something that's building up the muscles. Just like I don't like when I go to the gym, I don't necessarily like to do all of the sit-ups that I'm, my class I'm in is having me do, but I do them and I find the more I do them, the easier they get. And that's really the thinking behind this as well. Fewer whole class critiques and more breakout rooms. Can we have more in-depth, which we can give more in-depth feedback? And I'm hearing that from a few of you. So I definitely agree that we can try to incorporate more of that small group feedback, more breakout room time. Another question that came up is, can we have small groups when we do one-on-one so we can focus on our projects while I call people? We'll do some of that as well. We're going to do a little mix of both, and we'll talk more about that. But yeah, I think that's a great feedback. And this is the same thing, questioning about whole group for extensive one-on-one chats. We'll talk a little bit more about that because we also have people who want more times we meet with the full class. So we'll kind of find a balance, and that's good to hear that we're looking for that. We'd have more breaks from having discussions every week. Well, I hear you. And I know, as you saw at the end of, but before we went on break, we had a few weeks where we didn't have any discussion posts. So we've had some breaks and we'll continue to have breaks. We won't be having them every week, but there will be continuing there. But I agree, they won't be every week as they weren't last semester, last part of the semester as well. We had some breaks there and we'll continue to do that. This was a good thought, I thought. Silent Creeks, adding divider lines to keep feedback notes together. So in other words, putting little divider lines between our assignments so that we know where when we put our work up. So we'll look at making a better way to show work so we know where we're putting our feedback so they stay with the right piece of work. I wish there was an easier way to figure out differences between iPad and computer versions of Illustrator. I agree. And I did some research and I put some results and some information. I think I sent it on Slack, if I'm not mistaken, but I also put it in our resources folder on Blackboard. So we have more for those of us who are using iPads. They are different than Illustrator. They aren't as robust as Illustrator. So I found some articles that were just written in the last couple months. So they're the latest version of iPad Illustrator, talking about the differences and what's best for using on the iPad and what's better to be done on the computer. So check that out. What we wonder, can we talk more about career avenues for graphic designers? Absolutely, we will be. As we go on in the semester, we'll have some lectures about career avenues as well as some readings coming up. So yeah, the different ways, what can we do with a graphic design degree? Where can we go with this? I think that's a great question. Wonderful. A resource folder on Blackboard, why is nothing in there? That was a great question. This folder comes with my Blackboard, and I realized I had completely neglected it. You're absolutely right. Why is there nothing in there? So what I did over spring break, I filled it. So I put a bunch of resources in there. I included things like tutorials for Illustrator. I put in the key commands, a link to the key commands. So I had a few requests for key commands. So there's a link from Adobe of all the key commands. That's in there. We're going to be talking about color and color theory coming up. I put those links in there. So as we're going, I'm going to put more and more links in there for resources. So yes, so the resource folder is being filled. Thank you for bringing that up. And you're absolutely right. We need to get more resources in there for you all. So that's in there. Can we have extra credit assignments? Well, what I think we're going to, yes. So the answer is yes. One of the things I think we'll do is incorporate some discussion posts that are extra credit, that are the reflection and the responses to other design, to other students will be extra credit. The readings will still be required for everybody, but to respond and to give a reflection will be extra credit. So we'll do that on some, and I will let you know which ones those. It'll be clearly marked when they're extra credit or required. So yeah, definitely. Can we work more with classmates, one-on-one or in small groups? Yes, I'm definitely hearing you all want more group time, small group time. We can also look at building in some more peer-to-peer time. So yeah, I think that's a great request, and definitely we can implement that. What projects do I have in my typography class? That's a great question. Some folks are in my typography class right now that are in here. So, but some of the things that we do in my typography class, I'll show you my mural board so you can see some of the projects, but to give you a quick overview, we did personal branding. We created logos for ourselves and made business cards. We did a typeface, designed a modular typeface. We started with cut paper and then we vectorized it, built a typeface, and then a poster advertising that typeface called the type specimen poster. And right now, my class is writing design manifestos, and then they're going to be creating a small booklet with their design manifesto designed on all the pages of the booklet. So those are some of the projects that my type class is doing. And if we have some time, I'll share with you a little bit of what that looks like. Can we make a schedule for individual critiques? Yeah, I think we can build that in. And I'm thinking the reason that would be helpful is when, especially if we decide to break into small groups and then have one-on-ones um, in a breakout room, so not in front of everybody. We'll do those occasionally, and we'll create times so everyone can kind of know when their time is. So yeah, we can definitely figure that out and make a schedule. Yep, and that's the one-on-one process breakout room. Add more notes to murals, making recommendations. So the question was, could I add more notes on mural when you're working and putting your work on mural? So I can definitely try to keep up on that. And I also want to encourage you, when you're working in your small groups, when we're talking about small groups, to add notes and things to each other's murals to give feedback as well. So it's helpful sometimes to be able to go back and look at those notes rather than just discuss them. So if we go into small groups, you guys are working on each other's mural boards, drawing and writing notes on each other's mural boards is really helpful, because then we don't always remember everything, and we're not all great at taking notes. So sometimes giving each other notes is really helpful. So I think that's a good recommendation. Okay, regarding me, what do we like regarding me as an instructor? So one-on-one meetings, encouraging students, sharing the sketches, providing feedback and presenting their designs, recording our lectures, going very deep when I help someone in Illustrator. And I agree. I appreciate hearing that, because and that's one of the reasons I like us working for some of our one-on-ones where you're all in the same room, because then if you're watching me or hearing me give someone else help, that's different than, maybe it's not something you're having an issue with, or it doesn't relate to your project. You can still learn something about the program or what we're doing by hearing that. So that's one of the benefits of being all together when we're sharing and doing one-on-one reviews. Clearly explaining concepts, that's great. Recorded tutorials, introducing different designers and their stories and careers, great. I'm happy to do that, and I'm excited to have you guys learn about these amazing designers that are out there. Answering questions, no problem. Good, and I appreciate that. I really appreciated hearing that you know that it's a safe environment to ask questions about anything. Sometimes I may be slow to understand. Truly appreciate your understanding and your ability to guess my intentions. I appreciate hearing that too, because not everyone understands things at the same speed. And I definitely want to make sure that everyone's feeling heard and feeling comfortable with understanding these different concepts, whether they're Illustrator or design or both, as we're working along. Simplify, one of the things we're wishing for me to do is simplifying the weekly checklist using bullet point format. No problem. You saw today, I put that into play. I used a bullet point format. So hopefully that felt a little less overwhelming, simpler, less information there, just to keep it more clean. Another thing I heard here is I felt difficult to engage in class conversation because of lack of connection with other students. So I definitely want to keep working on us connecting in class. I think a lot of our little mural activities as ways to get to know each other, and I try to keep doing those throughout the semester. I really want us to get to know each other. That's why we do things like share our music that we like and our pets and things like that. So I definitely want us to keep engaging and connecting with each other, and hopefully doing more small group meetings will help that for us as well. And some people don't like having student teacher one-on-one in front of the whole class. I understand that. So we're definitely will implement more of a balance of some in front of the class, some one-on-one in a breakout room, so that we can kind of get a balance of that. I will say, actually, sorry. I will say one of the things that the reasons I already kind of brought out, one, why we do the one-on-ones in front of the whole class is to have other people learn from those conversations, but also recognize if we were in a classroom environment, like a in-person classroom environment, those would be happening in front of the whole class as well. In the same, like if we were in a classroom, we don't leave the classroom. So it's also making it feel more similar to an in-class situation. So I do want to remember that, and also getting feedback, moving into our profession is a big thing that we want to get comfortable with. We want to get comfortable. It's just talking about the work and getting comfortable talking about each other's work is a skill that we want to, learn and feel more comfortable with. It would be helpful to give a guidebook for Adobe keys and functions. Yes, and that's in our newly stacked resources tab in Blackboard. So go to resources tab in Blackboard and you will see the Adobe keys, functions, key commands link to take you right over to Adobe to get that. So that is there. Another one is finding an app to let the teacher take control or draw on someone's screen. I agree. Zoom has that feature, as we've tried and you've seen me try to use. It struggles. It just so struggles. It's not great, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, that's a great idea. I will look for that and I will ask, maybe I can ask IT if there's some sort of plugin we can put in to use. So I'm going to look into that. I agree with you 100%. I would like that. Next one, having more examples of the projects we're doing. So I'm going to expand on that a little bit too, because I thought that was a great point. I know every project I start out with a lecture and I record those lectures and they have references of other past students. So when we did our simplification, I had previous students work in that lecture where we're introducing the project. The poster project of our self-portrait, I didn't, only because that's a brand new project that I didn't have examples of, but I tried to show posters in general, just looking at poster and poster design. And then we had that whole video to watch about poster design. And then this last one, the symbols project, I showed you examples of student work from last semester. The same project, just different theme. So definitely I try to always have examples of the projects we're doing. And I try to show you as many as I can. My goal is to never overwhelm you with too many samples, because I also want you to, not feel like you can't do something because you've already seen an example of it. So I don't like to do too many where it might hinder your ability to be creative or feel like it's already been done. So I do kind of try to walk that balance. Another one that I thought was really important to hear is some students are easily distracted by sounds, and is it possible not to play music during class? Absolutely. And I'm so glad you shared that with me, because obviously the music was to try to relax people, but I can also understand that that might not be great for some of us. So I think from moving forward, we won't be playing music, but if you want to listen to your own music, you're welcome to, with your headset on while we're doing a drawing activity or something. So thanks for that feedback. And then what we wonder are ideas for the future. Incorporating collaborative design projects would greatly benefit our learning. Oh, I agree. There are many, I love collaborative design projects. And as we get further in the program, there are definitely collaborative design projects in the future. This class, I think we can do some maybe exercises. I'm looking at seeing if I can build in an exercise that we could do that's more collaborative. But in the past, we usually don't do a collaborative in this first level design class. But for example, my graphic design 2 class did a large group project with 4 students working together, along with 2 photography students and a fashion design student, to create a fashion magazine that we did the photographer students did the photography for, the design students did the art direction and the design of the magazine, and the fashion students created the fashion that was photographed. So there definitely will be collaborative design projects in the future in the design program. but we don't normally put them in this first because we're learning so many basics. It's hard to jump into that when you're still learning the basics. So I definitely agree that it's an excellent thing to have in our repertoire, and it will happen for you all as you move through the program for sure. Random short tutorials about tools in Illustrator would be cool, even if it didn't pertain to our project. I agree. I think that's a great idea. I watch them all the time. Little ones that I don't know, because of my feed and Instagram and things, I see them all the time, and I think I get the idea of what you're looking for. So we could definitely incorporate some of those throughout the semester. I think that's a great idea. It would be helpful to have study techniques for Adobe Learning. I agree. The comment went on a little more, and it was talking about, like, you know, it's not traditional way we like take notes and things for like other courses. A lot of Adobe is practicing. So we can, I will look for some more exercise type things we can do to practice some of the Adobe tools that I think would definitely help as you're learning the Adobe products to do more of these practice techniques. So I'll look for some more tools and exercises that I can implement for us to help us feel more confident in the Adobe skills. Next, we have assignments. What we like, the space to interpret the assignment creatively, the amount of detail that is put into each assignment and the ideas around them, and what we wish. I wish we could interpret more of my design preferences in Illustrator. I would like my symbols, for example, to look hand-drawn. And I don't know if that'll be penalized in grading. I think that's a great question. Like this fear of like, am I going to do it wrong? Absolutely. We can make your symbols look hand-drawn. I think there's more and more tools in Illustrator that are trying to help things look more hand-drawn, less computery. I think that's been a big push in the Illustrator tools over the last 10 years. And absolutely not, it will not be penalized. I think the main thing is that that when we work with hand-drawn skills, there's we can talk about some of the tools that will help that, so that it doesn't, the thing we want to avoid when we're dealing with Illustrator, for example, like when we're image tracing and stuff, is to have things that look like computery corners and edges. Like we do want to get rid of those randomized things that Illustrator will do when we're doing things like image trace. But making things look hand-drawn, I think can be great. And we can definitely talk about brushes and tools and things we can do to make that happen. So that's a great question. I really appreciate that. Assignments were also put into a discussion board. And then it goes on to say, I'm not fond of having multiple different websites for communication, as it could be confusing. So let me talk about where assignments are. Discussions are one type of assignment that we have, which are a reading discussion, where we read something, we write a reflection, and then we respond to two others. That's a discussion board, and that is a type of assignment. But all of our assignments for our projects are in the assignments tab. So everything that is in our everything that's an assignment, and also where we put it at the end of assignment, is in the assignments tab. And I need that. These are the way the gradebook works within Blackboard. So everything in Blackboard this is design, the school-wide, everyone uses Blackboard, right? And everyone in the graphic design department grades and uses the Blackboard for assignment distribution and upload. And so we want that to all work consistently. So whenever you're uploading a project, it would be in the assignment tab in Blackboard. And then when you're doing a discussion post, that would be in the discussions tab. The project assignments wouldn't be in the assessment discussion tab, but discussion is a different type of assignment. So you have two kinds of assignments. You have the assignments that are the projects we're working on, and then you have discussion boards, which are readings and reflections. So those are, and so I want to make sure that I'm clear on that, because I understand that there seems to be some confusion. The other, and I'm not sure if the multiple websites is referring to Mural, maybe it is. Mural is, because we're an online class, it really helps us to have critiques. We don't have walls we can hang our work up on. And it allows everyone to participate in a critique. And that's why we use Mural. Mural is its own tool, and it's really used to have, we use it multiple ways. And I purposely use it lots of ways. We use it for our critiques. We use it for our process work. So you don't have to do a process book, which is what we used to do before. I feel like it's much more fluid, and it allows everyone to have transparency. Everyone can see everyone's work. We're not, it just allows for more fluid flow of communication. And so that's really important. And I know things can be confusing, so I definitely want to make sure I'm communicating where things go, and I'll try to keep working on that. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. And then it would be helpful to provide past students' work at the beginning of each assignment. Yep, I feel like we do that pretty good if there is past student work. There's only so far one assignment this semester we did not have past student work on, and that was the poster assignment. But hopefully everything else, has had a past student assignment to share. And so I will do that every time there is that available, for sure. What we wonder for the future, other functions that I would like to practice, but I don't always have a way of identifying certain aesthetic choices, preferences to make it hard to translate my intentions. And I think that's kind of referencing the kind of like, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the aesthetic choices, we'll keep sharing different types of design styles and aesthetics. We will keep talking about design principles, which hopefully that'll help, as well as we're talking about ways of identifying choices. I think we'll kind of dive deeper into more design principles, keep talking about those design principles like we did in our poster project. And so all of those techniques we learned, we'll keep pushing forward with, so that we can talk in those terms that we're all learning regarding the design choices we make. So hopefully that will help. Is there a way to organize assignments in one place? Yep, and that will be in the assignments tab inside Blackboard. So all the assignments will be in the assignments tab, and they have schedules under each folder, so you can see the schedules for those assignments, and then all the discussions will be in the discussions tab. So those are the two places assignments are. The assignments, the project assignments are in the assignments tab, and then the discussions are in the discussions tab. Another good question was, could there be a remind system so it allows people to stay on top of assignments? So there's two things. One is when I implement, I've been kind of sporadically implementing, and I'm going to try to be more consistent with, and that is using the checklist as a announcement with an email. So moving forward, my goal will be to send an announcement every week with, this is the schedule for the week. This is what we're doing Tuesday. This is what we're doing Thursday. This is the homework that we're going to be doing this week. And sending that as an announcement. So it'll be right when you open Blackboard, it'll be at the top, and it's going to send an email to you. So making sure that you have your email setting in Blackboard for announcements, then you'll get it in your email box as well. So that should hopefully remind you what we're doing and what the assignments are. And then you also can check the calendar on Blackboard, and all of the assignment dates are in the calendar. But I think hopefully the announcements will help, especially if you're getting an email regarding that, to remind you of what we're doing and what's expected for each day of the week. So what's expected today, what's expected Thursday, and then what we're going to do for next week. All right. So changes that I'm going to start with this week is, we're going to introduce small group breakouts when the professor has one-on-ones reviews. They're not going to be every time, but they're going to definitely be as many, bringing that into the mix. We haven't done that yet. We're going to do that. Improve silent critiques by adding divider lines to keep our feedback notes together with the correct work. That was a good suggestion. Little tidying up, we can do that. A remind system, we're going to send announcements with the weekly checklist. It includes an email. We're going to simplify the weekly checklist using bullet point format. And we're not going to play music anymore during classes. We're going to include more small group breakout times for everyone to kind of also hopefully foster more connection between students as well. We're going to include some one-on-one meetings in breakout rooms and also working on creating scheduled meeting times. We're going to add to the resource tab in Blackboard. I'm already put a bunch in there, and I'll be continuing to add to that. And we're going to make sure that everyone knows where the assignments are located on Blackboard. And I'll show that, share my screen with that in a minute. And then what we know works and we're going to continue doing is our one-on-one meetings, our recorded lectures, designer of the week, answer any questions as they're needed, in-class feedback, work time in class. We'll have an open and understanding environment, clear project breakdowns, design sprints, and Illustrator demos, but we're going to add some random ones too. So that's pretty much the feedback I received and, kind of what I learned from it. And I hope that has, I hope that was, good for you as well to see and get a feel for. And did anyone have any questions?